Hey guys, it's your girl Monique Monet. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to talk to you about locks. Everything you need to know about locks, dreadlocks, whatever you call them, the phases, the types, the parting systems. We're going to get into all of it. The first thing you should know is the origin of locks. Locks have been around since the beginning of time. If you're biblical, Samuel had locks. In ancient history, locks were called dreadfully powerful, which is where you get like the dreadlocks from, or dreads from. Dreadful only became more of like a negative word once the Europeans kind of came in and changed the language. Locks are very spiritual. So the earliest wearers of locks were seen as super holy, very spiritual, very powerful, and a sign of patience. So the longer your locks were, the more powerful they were, the more spiritual you were, the more patience you had. People who wore locks were feared, they were honored, respected, and a lot of people look up to people who wore locks in ancient history. Like I said before, it was a sign of patience, your spirituality. What are dreadlocks or locks or dreads? They are rope-like strands of hair that are formed by either matting your hair, twisting your hair, braiding your hair, or comb coiling your hair. Now let's get into the types of locks. The sister locks are installed by using a special type of tool in very small portions of it. So second, we have micro locks, and micro locks are smaller than the diameter of a pencil. So then we have traditional locks, and traditional locks are larger than the diameter of a pencil and installed by palm rolling the hair. So next we have freeform locks, which is pretty much allowing your hair to just lock on its own. You don't do anything other than washing your hair and drying your hair, and then you allow it to do whatever it's going to do. A lot of people who have freeform have some like small locks and large locks. Like Lil Wayne now has freeform locks, just to kind of give you an idea. Bob Marley had freeform locks. With freeform locks, you do not retwist your hair. You literally wash your hair and dry it and allow it to do its own thing. And everyone's journey is different. Next, we have semi-freeform, which is pretty much when someone starts their hair by twisting it or braiding it, or comb coiling it, just to get the initial size, and then allows it to lock on its own. But after the initial installation, after that, they allow it to lock, to mat, all on its own, and will just wash their hair and dry their hair. The parting system is how you part your hair when you are installing your locks. With sister locks, it's a very tight grid. It's a very specific grid, which kind of makes them sister locks. Each of your parts are the same exact. There is a tool that you use, so that way the installation process, the Loctician knows that each lock is a specific size. With other types of parting systems, you can do like a square parting system. You can do a diamond parting system, triangle, rectangle, fan, or you can do grab and go, which is more of the either micro locks are sometimes done in the grab and go system, or semi-freeform is done in the grab and go system. The square parting system is the most commonly used parting system for locks. To me, it can look a little bit scalpy depending on how much hair you have, how thick your hair is, and when you're doing styles, you can see a lot of the scalp. Let's get into the lock phases. The first phase is called starter locks. That is from your installation to 3 months. I am pretty much like transitioning out of starter locks and going into the second phase, which is baby locks, and baby locks are 4 to 6 months, and I'll be 4 months in about a week now. The next phase is the budding phase, which is 7 months to 12 months. And Depending on your hair, you can bud a lot sooner than the budding phase. I have buds in my hair and I'm 4 months. I started budding in about 2 to 3 months. But again, that depends on the type of hair that you have, whether you have like 4C hair or like 3A hair, will kind of determine when you will start budding or not. So the next phase is the teenager stage or phase, and that is 13 months to 15 months. And just like a human teenager, your locks kind of just do whatever. They will sprout out, they will not act right, they will do whatever it is they want to do. Sometimes you go through like a super dry phase during your teenager months. It just kind of depends on your hair. The mature phase, which is 16 to 18 months. This is the more fun phase. They'll start to act right. Hopefully by now you've kind of been able to get like a moisture routine and your lock routine together by then, and so you are able to know, what works and what doesn't work. This is like I said, like the more fun phase. Typically your hair is a little bit longer, so you can do a lot of different styles with it, depending on how you started your locks, whether you started with super small locks, or like for me, my hair is already pretty long when I started my locks. But the mature phase is super fun. Like your hair is really starting to look locked, and people absolutely notice that your hair is locked by this point. So the last phase is what we call the rooted locks. So this is month 19 and plus and beyond. And so with the rooted locks, your hair is fully locked. They will hang differently. They'll be a little bit heavier, so they won't really sprout out much. Honestly, they won't do it at all. By now, your hair won't change. So whatever your hair looks like, that is what your hair is going to continue to look like, except for it will just continue to grow and get longer. Unless you do something drastic to your hair, like pretty much what's happening or what your hair looks like is what is going to continue to look like for the rest of your lock journey. But again, you can drastically change your rooted locks. Like Lil Wayne, his hair, it has drastically changed, but again, that's a drastic change. Let's get into lock terminology. So the first thing that I want to talk about is budding. And budding is pretty much where your hair tangles in one small area. I do have some budding. Let's see if I can find some. There. So now let's talk about bunching. Bunching is where your hair collects in one area. It's not locked. It's not a bud. It's just kind of squished together in order to form a bunch. Popping. So popping your locks is when you separate the locks at the root. You take 2 of your locks and just kind of pop them apart. This happens when your hair marries, and a lot of people's hair marry at the root. Marrying is when your hair kind of grows together at the root. Your hair can also marry at the ends. My hair marries at the ends, and I think it's because I did not get a trim before, where my loctician did not trim my hair before she installed my locks, and so my hair is super coily, and I think the coils just kind of like intertwine with each other and like marry. And so marrying, once your hair marries, you definitely want to separate them unless you are combining locks. Retwist or retying your hair. This is when you start the locking process for the root of your hair or like your new growth. For people who have micro locks, they retie their hair, and people who have traditional locks, they retwist their hair. And palm rolling is when you use the palms of your hands and roll the hair to twist the hair. So you can take your hair like this and just palm roll like this, so that way the root of your hair is retwisted. Interlocking. So interlocking your locks is when you use a tool to weave the hair through itself. So there are different interlocking systems. You can do a 1-point, which means you go in one direction. You can do a 2-point, which means you go in 2 different directions. A 3-point obviously is 3 directions, and then a 4-point is 4 directions, and I'll kind of show a clip here. Comb coil is when you take the comb in a section of the hair and you just twist the comb to create a spiral curl. Frizz is where the hair is not aligned with the other hairs. It kind of sticks out. I have a lot of frizz. So all of these hairs along the lines that are not aligned with the rest of my hairs. So in the lock community, a lot of people have like two-headed dragons, and typically this happens when the hair, when you're combining your hair, you start combining it at the root, or they start marrying at the root and you allow it to marry all the way down. Then you'll have two locks that are locked together here, and these two would be hanging out. It's what people call like a two-headed dragon or a two-eyed monster. You can also call it like a Congo lock or a conjoined lock. This is when the lock grows together but the ends are separate locks. Thanks so much for watching my video, and please list any comments or questions that you may have in the comment box below. Bye!